Hiya! Before we start today's movie review, I would like to share something with you that is really special to me, and that is the release of my new single, that is the Joe's Project album by Giovanni Zucchi, and the single is called My Heart Will Wait. So here's a little snippet of the video just for you, and you will find all the details and the names of the amazing musicians in the description down below. I really hope you enjoy it, and I'll be right back with the movie review.
It's all that I can do. Sit around and wait just to see you. Life is short, you can't repeat or undo. Take a chance, then won't you? Come around when you want, if you want to. My heart will wait for you. Don't mind the way. Sure, not going nowhere.
A father who flies across the world to stop his daughter from making what he considers to be the biggest mistake of her life. A daughter with a secret dream. A charming mayor with a town to save. And in the middle of it all, a beautiful €1 villa that brings them all together and gives them a chance at family. This is La Dolce Villa. This movie has charming Italian countrysides that's going to make you want to book a flight, but I'm here to convince you not to go yet, right? Stay with me, and let's discover the magic of La Dolce Villa together. So if you're interested in this movie and you want to know more, or if you're just curious to see how I use my own imagination and with the help of AI bring this story together and bring it to life just for you, or if you just want to come along for the ride and just sit back and relax and use your own imagination, whatever the reason, you know what to do, and that is don't go anywhere.
When it comes to romantic movies, there's so much out there to choose. But if you follow your heart, the truth is you can't really lose.
In the Netflix movie La Dolce Villa, the lead roles are played by Scott Foley as Eric, and I must admit that Scott Foley, I had a crush on him since Felicity, and then he was in Scandal, and it was ooh. So yes, I am definitely a fan of Scott Foley. Violante Placido, she plays Francesca, the mayor of the town. And then we have the daughter Olivia, who is played by, now I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name. I don't know if it's Maya or Maya, I don't know. Please forgive me. Let's just go with Maya Refico. And I hope I got her name right. But as you probably know by now, here on this channel, my AI actors do the heavy lifting. And they are the ones that will be telling the story of La Dolce Villa today. And here are my AI actors, Eric, Francesca, and Olivia. And they will be helping me to tell the story of La Dolce Villa in a whole new way. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get straight into this walkthrough review. So we see our leading man, Eric Fields. He is rushing around an Italian train station. But despite his rush, he is kind enough to stop for a young lady who is struggling with a stroller. She's struggling to bring it up the stairs, and he stops and helps her to carry the stroller up the stairs. He is now sitting on a train. He is on the phone and he is talking to someone, and he's telling them that he's not exactly a fan of Italy. He thinks that Italy is a curse. He went to Italy after college and he lost his passport. He went back on his honeymoon and it rained every single day. So for him, he thinks that it's amazing that his daughter Olivia, who has been in Italy for a while, he thinks it's amazing that she has survived this long. He found out on Instagram that she is buying a €1 villa. And so here he is. His mission is to find her, to stop her, and to bring her back home. He arrives at Montezada. Now, just for the record, Montezada does not exist in Italy. It's a fictional name, okay? But anyway, Eric arrives at Montezada where his daughter Olivia, she meets him at the train station and she tells him that she knew she should have blocked him or kept her account private. She wants to know why he's there, because she thought that Italy would be the last place that he would go, what with the curse and everything. And just a little aside, sometimes I look at my daughter's Instagram account too, but I never say anything and I never criticize because I fear that if I do, she might block me. So, and because I want to know and see what she's doing, I just look, don't say anything. Because these young people, they will block you in a heartbeat. So sometimes I look and I see things, but I don't say a word. Mum's the word. I don't criticize. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I don't know nothing. Because that way, I want to be able to keep an eye on what she's doing. I'm just saying, don't say a word. Eric tells her that he didn't like the way that she just ran off in the middle of the night. And if she wanted to activate the dad bat signal, then she did. He then finds out that she hasn't found anywhere yet. She's still house shopping. So he's happy about that. He thinks that he can stop her, but she doesn't think so at all. She tells her dad that a few weeks ago, she got on the wrong train and ended up at Montezada. And in Montezada, they were offering villas at €1 because they want to encourage young blood, young people into the area. She put in an application and wouldn't you know, she was accepted. They end up in a bar for a quiet drink. And while they're sitting there, Eric happens to notice a beautiful blonde woman. And you can tell that he's attracted to her, that he's pulled to her. But anyway, he's talking to his daughter and he's telling his daughter that he thinks that she is being scammed until he realizes that this beautiful blonde woman is the mayor of Montezada and she is the one that's organizing and supervising the €1 initiative. The three of them go out to do some house shopping. And every house that they see, every villa that they see is worse than the other. There's crumbling roofs, broken windows, rubble everywhere, broken down, run down. I mean, places that should be torn down and not renovated. Eric tries to convince his daughter to stop with this nonsense. And seeing as the contractor is the mayor's brother-in-law, Eric is even more convinced that this whole thing is a racket and just a great, enormous scam. The mayor tells them that there's one more house to see. It's not on the official list yet, but she wants to take them there to see it. And they go and see it, and although yes, it's in pretty poor condition, it still needs a lot of work. It is still better than all the other villas that they saw before. This villa is huge and it has a lovely view. Olivia loves it and she decides to buy it. And the dad thinks, oh well, that's the case. He's going to stay and help her. We now find out that Eric is a restaurant consultant, but before that, he was actually a chef. Olivia goes out and she leaves her dad alone, and he decides to go out for a stroll, and so he's walking around town and he happens to bump into Francesca with a male companion, and the three of them go out and have ice cream. After Eric leaves, her male companion, Bernardo, he tells Francesca that he thinks it's too risky selling them the house, especially as it's not on the official list yet. But she says that something has to be done. Young people are leaving for Milan and for Rome, and they need to have younger people in the town. She thinks that something has to be done if they want to save the place. Bernardo thinks that foreigners who eat frozen pizza aren't exactly the way to go to save the town. But Francesca insists that she wants at least one of her projects to be successful, and she wants the €1 villa project to be the one thing that is successful. They meet their contractor, and Eric starts being a little bit bossy. He wants to take over everything and command everything. And Olivia has to remind him several times to take it easy and slow down a little bit. This is her house. It's not his. Bernardo arrives and he tells Eric and Olivia that it will take about 6 months to get the correct permits that they need. Olivia and Eric are shocked. But Francesca, she leans over and she whispers to Bernardo to do everything in his power to make sure that they can get the permits sooner. While working on the house, Olivia overhears her father talking to Bernardo, and he's telling him that he thinks that the best thing that his daughter can do is to flip the house and to sell it. Bernardo, he agrees. But Olivia is not happy. Oh, she is not amused. Eric, who is obviously without a car in Italy, Nino tells him about this old bike called La Vecchia Strega. That means the old witch. And Nino tells him that he can take this bike and he can go and ride around town with it. But be careful, because she's very temperamental. Eric thanks him. He takes the bike, but straight away the brakes freeze up and he is immediately thrown off. There are 3 elderly ladies sitting in the middle of the town square, and Eric goes up to them, trying to get some advice, trying to find out where he can take his bike, but they completely ignore him. Francesca turns up and she informs him that those 3 ladies, they are the 3 Antonias. Yes, they all have the same name. Anyway, she helps Eric with his bike and she takes him to the town hall with her. That way they can go into the archives of the town hall and try and find the blueprints of the villa. Once they finish, they didn't realize that the handle of the door to the archives is kind of sticky, and they try to get out and they push and they pull and they push and they pull, but the door isn't going anywhere. Then all of a sudden they push and they come tumbling out and they fall on the floor on top of each other. And there are visitors visiting the town hall, and everyone is just standing there looking at them as they lie there on the floor. It's day 28 of the renovations, and Eric is helping Nino to lay down some pipes. And while they're working, Nino says, "Look, you're single. Francesca, she's single. Maybe the 2 of you could get together." But Eric says, "You know what? That's not something that I'm looking for right now." Francesca turns up and she wants to help with the renovations. Nino very discreetly takes his time and exits. Francesca takes a saw and she starts sawing away at one of the pipes. And all of a sudden, water comes shooting out of this pipe and it throws her and Eric backwards, and they land up on the floor and they start laughing, all wet and everything. Eric takes a towel and he gently starts wiping and drying Francesca's face. At this point, Olivia starts to get a bit annoyed with her dad. She gets the feeling that he is trying to sell her villa from underneath her and she's not having it. And so she tells him that, it was great. She's glad that he came and everything, but now it's time for him to leave. He's sorry to hear that, of course. And he sees her out in the garden and he goes out and the two of them start talking and they start bonding in the garden. Seeing as he'll be leaving soon, Eric invites his daughter out to dinner. The chef at the restaurant is a lovely young man by the name of Giovanni, and Giovanni seems to have a little crush on Olivia. He gives them the best seat in the restaurant, and of course he pulls out all the stops and he gives them the VIP treatment. Eric is thoroughly impressed. He thinks that the meal is exquisite. He is very impressed with the chef Giovanni. Eric calls a meeting with everyone who is involved with the renovation, and he tells them of an idea that he has. And this idea is to have cooking classes inside of their villa. Now everyone is interested and pretty curious except for Bernardo. He shoots down every idea that Eric has, and he keeps making these little snide remarks. Bernardo says that to do something like that, they will have to have permits. And Eric says, well, you know what? You are our secret weapon. You can help us get these permits, right? But Bernardo, he's not really convinced. The truth is that we can tell that Bernardo is a little bit jealous of the friendship that is building between Eric and Francesca. So of course he doesn't want him to stay, and of course he doesn't want to help him with anything at all. That's just the way it is, isn't it? That's life. Eric wants to have local chefs to make local dishes. Francesca, she is already seeing money signs. She thinks it would be a fantastic idea. It would be a great way to bring in the tourists. But Bernardo, he's still not convinced. Eric and the young chef, Giovanni, they bond over making pasta. And Eric tells Giovanni that his passion for cooking died the moment his wife passed away. Giovanni asks him, well, how does it feel now? And Eric says it feels like he's exactly where he's supposed to be. Eric asks Giovanni if he would consider teaching in his school at the villa. And Giovanni is excited. He's kind of happy because he thinks that at the end of the day, Olivia wants him there too. Olivia seems to have a really good eye for interior design. Nino, the contractor, he notices this, and he says that he has a designer friend in Rome who is looking for an apprentice, and if she wants to, he could contact him for her. Olivia says that she has to think about it. She doesn't want her dad to feel that she is already bailing on the villa. Eric rides his bike into town, and while he's riding, he's listening to tapes on how to speak Italian. And when he sees the three old ladies who are sitting in the town square, he waves to them, but yet again they ignore him, except for one who waves back. But the other two, they look at her as if to say, "What you doing? Don't wave at him. Don't look at him." When Eric gets to the town hall, Mayor Francesca is in a meeting with three other gentlemen, but she can't wait to get out of it. And she says quickly, "Oh, I have a meeting with Mr. Fields. Isn't that right, Mr. Fields?" And Eric, who understands straight away that she's trying to get out of this meeting, says, yes, we have very important things to discuss. They go back to the archives, still searching for the blueprints for the villa, but this time the mayor, being smart, being clever, and remembering she leaves the door slightly open and she blocks it. This way, they won't have a repeat of the last time. While looking for the blueprints, Francesca tells Eric that her husband was the mayor of the town before he passed away. And she tells Eric a bit about her husband, about how stubborn he was, but in a cute way. And she also tells Eric that her husband was a brilliant dancer. Eric confesses that he is a terrible dancer. Francesca then goes on to confess to Eric that she knows that she was micromanaging at the beginning when it came to the villa, but this whole project means so much to her. She really wants it to succeed. She then says that anything worth loving is worth fighting for, and the two of them, they stare at each other. Eric suddenly finds the blueprint, and he sees that originally the kitchen in the villa was large, and this convinces him that the cooking school in the villa is a good idea. That is, if they ever get the permits from Bernardo. Because Bernardo, he has been MIA lately, and Francesca says that she'll talk to him. Eric wants to know if there are other houses that have doubled up as businesses. And Francesca tells him, yes, there's the Tuscan castle. It had a makeover and now it's a luxury hotel. Eric wants to see it straight away, so they make an appointment for the following morning to go and see it. And when Francesca says, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, it's a date, Eric gets a little bit flustered and all nervous. Eric goes into the town square again and he introduces himself to the three Antonias. Now they're a little bit warmer this time, but one of the Antonias, she is not impressed with his Italian. He tells them that he would like to have some advice, and they ask him straight away, is it about Francesca? And when he says yes, they said, we knew it, we just knew that something was going on between you two. He tells them that he wants to take her out on a picnic, and he would like to know what her favorite foods are. Where they tell him, they give him a few tips. But the most severe, let's say, of the three Antonias, she tells them to write it down for him, because men have terrible memories, because men have small brains. I ain't saying a word. They also give him a little picnic basket. Isn't that sweet? In the meantime, Olivia tells Nino that she has decided to accept the apprenticeship in Rome, but she hasn't told her father yet. The following morning, Francesca and Erica, they meet up and they decide to ride their bikes to the Tuscan Hotel. And it's lovely. They are riding through the countryside, beautiful views. When they get there, though, unfortunately, the hotel is closed because there's a private event. But you know that our leading man and leading woman, they are not going to accept that. They came there, they rode their bikes all this way to come and see something. They're not leaving. So they sneak around the hotel. But the manager sees them and starts following them, saying, excuse me. And they keep ducking into rooms and things like that. They look at the building and how it's renovated and the decor and the lighting and everything. And they find themselves out in the garden where the event is happening. And there are lots of photographers taking pictures. And on the table, there is set out lots and lots of sunglasses. Maybe it's a promotional thing. I don't know. They each take one, but then they see the manager following them. So they go, they grab a coffee because they have to have an expensive coffee and admire the view. And then they jump on their bikes and they ride off. Eric and Francesca find a nice spot in the countryside to sit back and enjoy their picnic. They sip on wine and they enjoy la dolce fare niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. They lay down on the blanket and they just stay there doing nothing until they stare at each other and they just burst out laughing. Eric is amazed that they haven't gotten into trouble yet, like falling out of the archives onto the floor in front of visitors, or like bursting pipes that get them soaking wet. Francesca says that she knows a way that they can get into trouble. Tell us more, Francesca. And she reaches up her hand and she's about to stroke his face when her phone rings. It's her office. She has to get back straight away. Before she goes back to the office, Francesca tells Eric that she thinks that it's best if they just keep things professional because it's a bit of a conflict of interest because she's helping them with the villa. Eric says to her, well, technically, the villa isn't his, it's his daughter, but she still thinks that it's best if they just keep things professional. He says, okay. And as they kiss on the cheek, you know how the Italians do, as they kiss to say goodbye, they accidentally kiss on the lips. But we know that there are no accidents, right? Olivia, when she sees him arrive, she asks him if he was on a date with Francesca. And he says, no, we weren't on a date. But she goes even further and she asks him if he's ever dated. And he's a little bit taken aback and he's embarrassed, probably doesn't want to have this conversation with his daughter. But he finally admits that yes, when he was back home in the States, he'd been on a couple of dates, but they didn't go anywhere. There wasn't any spark. And as for Francesca, there's no point because he's sure that she's seen Bernardo. Bernardo passes by Francesca's office and he says that he passed by earlier, but she wasn't there. And that's strange. It's strange not to find her there. She asks him about the permit. And you can tell that he's just annoyed at the fact that she's still harping on about something to do with Eric Fields. The man is obviously jealous, and we get that, right? He doesn't want to hear about Eric and his stupid villa. He invites her out for dinner, and she says that she can't, but she'd willingly go out with him for some ice cream. He says, just let him know when. Giovanni takes Olivia to a beautiful spot where they can see the entire countryside. and they sip wine. And it's here that Olivia tells Giovanni that she's considering going to Rome for an apprenticeship in interior design. Giovanni is over the moon for her. He's so happy, but she fears that her father, on the other hand, he won't be. Olivia leaves for Rome, but she tells her father that she's going to meet up with friends. By chance, Eric and Francesca, they meet up outside Giovanni's restaurant. They hadn't seen each other since that awkward kiss. Eric is there to help Giovanni with the cooking, and Francesca, she's there to eat. So wonderful. He cooks for her, and she thinks that everything is exquisite. She then confesses to him that she can't cook. And not only can't she cook, but she stores books in her oven. Eric can't believe that there's an Italian woman that doesn't actually know how to cook. Giovanni thanks Eric so much for helping him cook, but now he's going to go and have a drink with his grandmother. And if Eric wants, he can tag along. And guess who Giovanni's grandmother is? Yep, one of the Antonias. Giovanni can't stay long and he soon leaves, but Eric remains there and he talks with the three Antonias. And one of the Antonias, the most severe one, she tells him that she was the first woman in Montezara to have her own business. But now that they are old, they just feel abandoned. Eric says that he thought that they would be enjoying la dolce fare niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. And they said no, they're bored. They want to be grandma influencers on TikTok. Eric goes for another ride on his bike, La Vecchia Strega, and one of the wheels get punctured. Things start falling off. I mean, it really is in a terrible state, and maybe he should start considering not going out on this bike anymore. But anywho, he gets off the bike and he's walking it down the road, and who should he bump into but Francesca, who is driving, and she's in her car and she tells Eric that she's on her way to a beach party, and she asks him if he would like to come with her. Mixed signals. You want to keep it professional or not, Francesca? Make up your mind. That's the thing with us women sometimes. We give mixed signals. She wanted to keep it professional, but now she's inviting him to a beach party. They drink, they walk on the beach, they talk to each other, and they hear music, and Francesca drags him to go and dance with her on the beach. And while they're dancing, she starts to mention the fact about the other day when she said that they shouldn't get serious. And he said, you know what? I never listen to politicians. And he kisses her. Eric accompanies Francesca back to her place after the party, and she invites him up, but he hesitates, and he says, and Bernardo? And she says, we're just friends. He's like a brother to me. Why, did he say something? And he says, no, but he pretty much said as much, even though he might not have said it in those terms, but you know. She says, no. We really are just friends. So, of course, Eric accepts the invitation and they spend the night together. Afterwards, Eric goes and visits the three Antonias in the town square, and they give him this dessert to try, and it's called panforte, which is made up of almonds and spices and honey. And Eric tastes it and he says, this has got to be one of the nicest things I've ever tasted. And Antonia says, well, of course, she doesn't make any of that American crap. Eric gives them a photograph that he found of them when they were younger, and they were excited and pleased to see a picture of themselves back then. He then tells them that it's time that they got back to work. He wants them to come and work and teach in his cooking school. They are over the moon. They are so happy, and it's nice to see, because at the end of the day, it's nice to be wanted, right? We all like to feel wanted and needed. It's a beautiful thing. While Giovanni is trying out one of Eric's dishes, he let slip about Rome. He was convinced that Eric must have known by now, but he didn't. Giovanni is mortified. Outside in the garden, Olivia tells her dad everything. And to her surprise, he is really happy for her. He is just sad that she didn't feel that she could come and talk to him about it. And he asks her, when did this happen? When did we stop communicating? When did we stop trusting each other? They sit out on the bench in the garden and they start talking things through. And it comes out that since the death of her mother, both of them were grieving in different ways, and this caused them to separate from each other. Eric tells Olivia that he is dating Francesca and his daughter is over the moon for him. And he's a little bit surprised at that. But no, Olivia is happy because she sees that her dad is happy. He's even cooking again. Who knows? Maybe the curse, that damned Italian curse, maybe it's lifted. Olivia asks her dad to stay in Italy because when she goes to Rome, she's going to want someone to take care of the cooking classes and to help Giovanni. Eric considers it seriously. He can't do that, can he? Can he really make such a big change in his life at his age? Father and daughter sit out in the garden, holding each other close and taking in and feeling the spirit of Mia, Eric's wife and Olivia's mother. Giovanni comes out of the kitchen and sees the two of them hugging, and he is so happy and pleased to see that, you know what, they are going to be okay. They are doing just fine. That evening, Bernardo is out for a walk and he sees Francesca and Eric out together, and ooh, he is not happy at all. The next day, he goes into her office and he tells her that, look, he will always be there for her. But Eric, he's a foreigner, he's American, he will soon leave. She says, well, not really. He's thinking about staying. Oh, and you can just tell that Bernardo, he did not want to hear that. And she also tells Bernardo that she took it on herself to go and apply for the permit that Eric and Olivia needed, seeing as he went missing and nobody could find him and they didn't know what was going on. Ooh. Bernardo is not a happy man. However, Francesca tells him that on Saturday they are having a little get-together at the villa to celebrate and they would be happy to see him there. He looks at her and he walks off and he's not smiling. Ooh, he mad. So that Saturday, while celebrating the success of the villa, Bernardo, he does turn up, but with a couple, and he tells everyone that they are the rightful owners of the villa. Ooh, that's sneaky, Bernardo, that's cold. Francesca wants to know if they are the same couple, the Leone couple, who she contacted several times about the villa and about different villas, but when it was run down, they had no interest in it. But now that it's renovated and it looks stunning, now they rock up and they say, yes, well, it's still ours, isn't it? True. True. Francesca promises Eric that she will get to the bottom of this. Eric and Olivia, they do seek legal advice, but at the end of the day, it's not looking good for them. Eric goes and he finds the Leone couple and he asks them, look, if they can reimburse his daughter the inheritance money that she got from her late mother, then they will vacate the villa straight away and it's all theirs. He shows them the amount of money that they owe. Now the man, he says, well, it's not exactly €1, is it? But the wife, she says, you know what? It's still a good price and it's still ours. Francesca finds Eric and he tells her about the deal that he made with the Leones. And she is mortified and she thinks that he must hate her. And he says, no, he doesn't hate her. And at the end of the day, Olivia, she's going to be just fine. She's going to go to Rome and she's going to do her apprenticeship. Francesca asks him, what are you going to do? And he says that he will probably go back to Ohio. And although she's hurt and upset, and you can see that, she pretends to understand. And she says, you know what? It would have been best if we really kept things professional, because at the end of the day, I have one job to do, and that is to be mayor. And he says, no, no regrets. And he hugs her, and then she walks away. Francesca sits in the town square with the three Antonias. And she is beating herself up and she's saying, how could I have been so stupid? And she sits there and she listens to the three Antonios who are talking about the Leone family and the Leone family. And Francesca comes to realize that there are two families that have names that are very similar, Leone and Leone. And she's wondering, could it be that there's some mistake? Could it be that they are not the rightful owners of the villa after all? Francesca gets up and she starts running to the town hall to go back and to consult the archives. She needs to find a consensus with the list of names of the people in the town. And she's there for the entire night and she's going through documents and documents and documents, and something sweet happens. Giovanni and Nino and other people, they turn up to help Francesca to go through all of these documents so that they can help save Eric and Olivia's villa. Eric is about to leave, but Olivia doesn't want to say goodbye, and she doesn't want to walk him to the train station either. That would be the worst, because she just wants to keep on pretending that he's still there. They say an emotional goodbye and they hug. In the meantime, the team back at the town hall, going through the archives, they find the documents needed. They find the documents under the sink in a bathroom, and these documents are all old and moldy and stinky and ew, but they found them. Before walking to the station, Eric turns and takes one last look at the villa. Francesca reads the documents that confirms that this couple, the Leone couple, they are not the rightful owners of the villa. Yay! Francesca needs to tell Eric and stop him from leaving, but she will never get to the station on time. So she grabs La Vecchia Strega and she starts pedaling to the train station. As soon as she gets to the station, however, she sees the train pull out and she is devastated. She can't believe it. She didn't make it on time. Suddenly, she hears a voice say, "Buongiorno." She looks around and guess who it is? It's Eric. Eric tells Francesca that he never thought that he would ever have certain feelings again. But then he met her. He and Olivia, they may have lost the villa, but he does not want to lose her. He loves her, and she tells him that she loves him too. And then she goes on to tell him that he didn't lose the villa. In the next scene, we see Francesca and the Fields. They take the Leone couple to their actual villa, which is run down, of course. So they're going to have to renovate it themselves if they want to keep it. But they seem pretty excited and they can feel the legacy of their ancestors around them. So that's great, right? And when the Leone couple ask about permits, we learn that Bernardo, he will no longer be involved with such things because he has now moved to Milan. So Eric, he gets his business in order in America. And Francesca, she gets her business plan all sorted out and she shows it to the board and they seem very happy with what she's doing and they all applaud her. The villa is renovated and it now looks amazing. The cooking school is underway and everyone is happy. Giovanni and Olivia kiss. Francesca has learned how to cook. And this means that Eric, he now needs to learn how to dance. So if you're like me, you don't just watch a movie for the plot, you watch it for what it makes you feel, for what it makes you think about. La Dolce Villa is packed with powerful but subtle life lessons. Let's break down the 3 that stood out the most for me. Olivia didn't seem to really have it all together. I mean, she got on the wrong train, she took a chance and bought the villa, then she wanted to go to Rome to do interior designing. She had all these things going on and she didn't have everything figured out. Yet despite everything and her uncertainties, her choices led her to her new passion and her new path to Rome. Now this is a powerful message for some of us who sometimes we feel that we need to have every inch of our life meticulously planned out. This film shows us that, you know what? It's okay to be in the messy middle, to take a chance and to let a little bit of chaos take us to where we're meant to be. Bernardo, he presents himself as a really caring, charming and helpful friend, especially as he thinks that he's going to get something out of the friendship in the end. However, his true nature is revealed the moment he doesn't get what he wants, exposing a controlling and a spiteful side. He serves as a powerful reminder that not everyone who seems to be on your side has your best interests at heart. Eric Eric, at the beginning of the movie, he's kind of controlling, and he wants to control his daughter's life and her money, and he thinks that his way is the best way. But by stepping out of his comfort zone and allowing himself to open up to new people and to a new place, he kind of discovers that the best things in life, like love and happiness, healing, and a deeper connection with his daughter. He discovers that these are the things that quite often you can't really plan for. His story shows that sometimes the greatest happiness comes from being able to let go and just allow life to surprise you. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It would mean a lot. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel. That way you can see more videos just like this one. And if you're still here, thank you so much for keeping me company. It was great seeing you. It always is. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Until the next time.